Aren't we lucky living in a world where a company like Koenigsegg exists? A producer of supercars that consistently snuffs out any and all competition from larger companies through innovation, perseverance, and straight up horsepower. It has, time after time, manufactured some of the fastest cars in the world, currently holding the production car top speed record. Christian von Koenigsegg has accomplished much of his company's success through the use of a twin turbocharged V8 that has traditionally spat out numbers well past 1000 brake horsepower. But if you unpick these supercars and dig deeper into their story, you'll find that an incredibly random engine was once the chosen power unit for Koenigsegg's when the company first started. Would you believe it if we told you that Koenigsegg nearly used a Subaru Formula 1 flat 12 in its cars? Neither would we, until you look back at the company's state of affairs in the 1990s. In fact, let's go further back than that to find the origins of this mysterious engine. Subaru had managed to accumulate plenty of publicity through rallying, but the bosses decided that getting into Formula 1 was the way to take things up a notch. Setting its sights on the F1 grid, Subaru decided to employ the experienced Italian outfit Motori Moderni. In keeping with the way Subaru does things, the Italians were asked to produce a flat 12 engine, justifying the Subaru badge on the side by keeping it a boxer orientation. Subaru was trying to rid itself of the conservative but solid image that had grown through its road cars, and so decided it would supply its new F1 engine to the Coloni Formula 1 team for the 1990 season. Sadly, the engine was a complete disaster. The 3.5 litre boxer, called the 1235, debuted at the 1990 US Grand Prix, but the engine proved to be an unsuccessful companion, with it also failing at Brazil, San Marino, Canada, and Silverstone. The large flat engine got in the way of the ground effect Venturi tunnels that were dominating the F1 landscape by 1990, thus rendering the engine a little redundant. After its fall from grace in Formula 1, the Subaru engine found its way into a Le Mans racer, as well as the one-off Giotto Caspita supercar. How does all this tie into Koenigsegg then? Well, while all of this was going on, our main man Christian was setting up his supercar company. He needed an engine. Initially, it seemed set to be an Audi 4.2 litre V8. There needed to be plenty scope for tuning and boosting, and that V8 seemed like a good start. Despite nearly signing a deal, Audi pulled the plug on the engine sharing talks, leaving Koenigsegg with nothing to put in its chassis. Christian has said, "I went to Audi and they were surprisingly positive about it, until I mentioned that I was going to tune it." He then stumbled upon the Subaru 1235, and somehow decided it was the one. Through a friend of a friend, he knew the guys at Motori Moderni, and bought the rights to the Subaru engine after the company folded. The Italians modified the engine for him to produce 580 brake horsepower by upping the displacement to 3.8 litres, stroking it, and inserting longer intake tracts, and Christian decided that it would make a viable engine for his creations. The original Koenigsegg CC prototype had the Subaru F1 engine nestled within it at some point during its development. When later asked about the engine via his Koenigsegg blog, he stated, "When we first designed the Koenigsegg monocoque, it was designed for that engine, and it was the first engine we put in there. The engine mount positions for that engine are still used in the Agera today. The whole engine block was under the centre of the rear axle, which gave us a super low centre of gravity and looked very cool when you opened the rear hood of the car." So what made Koenigsegg change his mind about the Subaru block? Well, he said, "The downside of that engine is that it would never have taken us to the level we are at now. It would have been good up to about 750 horsepower with a turbo, but that would have been about it. As it turns out, the engine package we finally went for in 1998 has allowed us to go much further than we could have with the flat 12. Instead, He opted to go with a supercharged Ford modular V8, used first in the Koenigsegg CCR. That block was then modified again and again with bespoke Koenigsegg parts over the years, until it became a fully bespoke in-house engine, one that has taken the company to the top of the hypercar tree. So really, it was a bloody good job that Koenigsegg switched to the V8, leading eventually to the powertrain that you find in its current vehicles, boosted to the high heavens with a couple of turbochargers. Still, sitting somewhere on a shelf in the Koenigsegg factory are a couple of Subaru engines, along with their dyno sheets and engineering drawings. Maybe, just maybe one day, Christian will retrofit one of them back into one of his creations, for old time's sake. Mr. Koenigsegg, it's over to you. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and tell us in the comments what cool car stories you'd like us to cover.